Hi, welcome back to the Freese Watches channel and Happy New Year to everyone. So we're starting a new series of videos today. So today's video is the first of a series where I try to buy a Rolex watch with an initial investment of £100. So the idea is I'll buy a watch on eBay for £100 and I'm going to try to buy that watch that needs repair and improve it, then sell it and move it on, and then buy something else and so on until we make our way up to a Rolex wristwatch. The idea of this really is that I've always wanted to buy my wife a Rolex wristwatch. I've never really been able to afford to do it. So I thought, well, I've got the skills to do it. And we're also in between watches with the Freese watches that I make, and thought it would be a good video to make and hopefully a bit of fun as well. So today is the first video, and in today's video we're going to be looking through eBay, and I'm going to try and find a watch to buy as a project that I can then improve, and then hopefully show you the process of getting the watch ready to be sold and improved and so on, and then we'll sell the watch on afterwards. So we're just going to have to see how we get on with this. A few things to mention, a few disclaimers. I've been a watchmaker for over 20 years now, and I've always just been restoring vintage watches or servicing watches. I've never been someone who buys and sells watches, but I thought it'd be quite interesting an interesting thing to sort of go into this process fresh, and hopefully to share the experience with you, so I can show you my experience of doing it, and how it goes, the ups and downs. I can see a few sort of issues on the horizon. So the plan is buy a watch, £100. I've then got to obviously spend time repairing the watch. Now, obviously, I haven't got to pay for my own time because I'm just going to do this in my spare time so my time won't come into it. But I can see that there are going to be costs potentially for parts. Obviously, if I say I wanted to buy a new strap to improve the watch, that's going to cost me money, or a new crystal, or a new crown, or if I need movement parts, all these things could come into it. Also, the other big cost is going to be eBay. So what I wanted to do is to try and keep it consistent. eBay's probably the biggest platform that's known for the buying and selling of watches. So I felt it'd be great to buy a watch on there and to sell it on there. In order to do that, I'm going to incur some pretty meaty fees. I imagine it's going to be quite an expensive way of moving the watch on. So I am quite apprehensive about this, about whether it's even going to succeed. Whether I might buy a watch for £100 and it might end up selling for 50 or something. We just don't know. But the only way we're going to find out is to try. So I thought, well, why not? Let's just make this video. Let's just go for this series and see how we get on. Best case scenario is that I manage to buy and sell a few watches. I get to show you the process, and I get to show you the watches inside the watches, show you the movements, show you how I repair the watches, show you what I do to get them from a watch that needs repair to a watch that's ready for sale. We've also got the photography to do, and hopefully we're going to see how we get on, and the best case scenario is I end up with a Rolex watch. The worst case scenario, of course, is that I buy a watch, I lose money on it, so I spend what I've got, lose a bit more money. It's a bit like playing a fruit machine, keep putting your pound coins in and nothing's coming out the other end. There is that possibility, but there's only one way to find out. So what we'll do now, let's get straight into it. We've got the screen record on my daughter's Apple Mac. Another disclaimer, I'm completely useless with technology. Most of the technology I work with is hundreds of years old, so there's a good chance I might look a bit slow on this machine. So apologies in advance, and I'll try and keep things moving as quickly as I can. If not, it's going to be down to the wonders of editing to hopefully sort of cut out my middle-aged moments where I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. So anyway, we've got the screen up. So I'm going to start with just a simple search, watches for repair. Now this may seem a bit obvious. Look at this, the typing. This might seem like a really obvious title, but we've got to start somewhere. I'm just interested to see what's going to come up with that search term. The first thing I've done, I've actually filtered for mechanical watches, automatic and manual. So department. Now I'm not too worried about that, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about brand for now, or features, style, case material. So the one thing I do want to do, I can get the price. I can put the top price in there, and I can put £100 in there. So that's that. So let's go back down the list. So we're going for mechanical watches. We're going, not really can do anything else specific at the moment. So location, just because I think it's going to be really tricky to buy and sell watches that are sort of coming from abroad, I'm just going to hit the UK only filter there. Okay, so I've got my search now. So we'll start to have a look at some of these watches now. So I'm just going to scroll down. There's a Seconda there, obviously that's a bit cheap. A vintage Timor wristwatch for repair. Now this looks good. Let's have a closer look at this. So, excuse me, vintage Timor wristwatch, World War II for repair. So, main first concern I see, notice it's in a chrome case. It's listed as a World War II wristwatch, but you know, is it a World War II wristwatch? It's probably World War II period, as in 1940s, but it's not actually World War II. What's happened here is the seller is trying to sell something with some added words to try and make it more desirable, but actually it's probably not that desirable. For repair, crown winds, but the movement doesn't run. See, that doesn't put me off. What does put me off though, the size, 31mm, that's really small. I don't want to go below sort of 34 to 36mm because people just don't want to buy watches much smaller than that. Okay, so that one's not going to happen. So we're just going to go back to our watches. So a Seiko High Beat. I'm not really one for Seiko, so I'm going to give that a miss. The short story is that they don't respond as well to repair as Swiss watches. I have to be honest, I'd rather just concentrate on Swiss watches. It's what I'm used to, so there we are. Like for example, this Tissot automatic wristwatch. Parts for repair, so it's bidding. Its current bid's £28, 7 bids. Okay, so let's see what they've got to say about this. This is the sort of watch that really would interest me because I'm quite familiar with these older mechanical Tissot wristwatches. So Tissot automatic wristwatch repair. I found a batch of old mechanic space owl watches when I was doing a clear out over Christmas. So this is a sort of description really, but the photos are probably going to be more helpful than this description. It says, back in the day, likely 10 years ago or so, I remember this watch keeping time. So there we go. So it's certainly, yeah, sort of buying as a watch that needs repair, but the guy's obviously being quite clear about that. So let's have a look at the photos. Okay, so so looking at this, a black dial is good. People tend to like black dials, so that would be a good thing to get. If I get a watch for a black dial, are they all the photos there? 1, 2, yeah, there's not a lot there. Automatic C-Star. You see, one thing I do notice, if you look at that lug at the top right there, that's really, really polished, that watch. Doesn't look particularly, I'm going to just give that one a miss, just because of the polished case. I don't think that's worth looking at. So let's go back and keep going. Right, so that's pink dialed vintage retro Swiss watch is interesting, but if you look at the case, you notice the bottom right hand lug is missing, so that's something I can't really get on with. Oh, there's a Zenith there, so Zenith's obviously a fantastic brand. I mean, I didn't think I'd be able to get into one of those under £100, but we'll have a look. Okay, so what we've got, we've got a Zenith 12-4-P, and I mean, visually that watch is in a state. I mean, you know, you can see the dial is really quite bad. The hands, all the plating's come off the hands, got the wrong crown on it. The lugs look like they're in bad condition. We'll have a look at the movement as well. Oh, right, so look at that movement, that's really is terrible. So you can see the balance wheels missing. Excuse me. Also, you'll see the condition of the plates is quite bad as well. Not going to go anywhere near that. Bit concerned about the fact it's already up to £62 with 16 bids, 4 days to go. Bit of a worry for what I'm going to get for £100. But there we go, we'll keep going. Right, so there's a fairly generic looking watch there, 499 men's vintage watch, 21 jewels. You can see it's not of any sort of, it's not of any known brand, so probably avoid that. Elgin wristwatch for repair. Vintage World War I era Swiss-made trench watch. Now trench watches are all over 100 years old now, and they tend to be quite tricky to repair. So I'd quite like to avoid that, because the older the watch gets, the riskier it's going to get for me in terms of time I have to put in to get the watch repaired. So I'm certainly going to skip past that one. Keep going. Citizen. I don't want to buy a Japanese watch. It's just not on the cards for me. I just don't think it's worth it. I think we can stretch to something. Oh, this looks nice. Tissot manual wind watch. Let's just click on that. Okay. Right, so I can see it's quite an old Tissot because it's got the original Tissot logo, although admittedly it's not in very good condition. You see all the looms come out the hands. But we've got a good movement shot. That's always handy. Let's try and enlarge that, see if I can actually get that to stay on there. Let's try doing that. As I said, sorry about this, I'm not particularly good with these. Right, okay, so movement's actually looking pretty good. The plating's all okay. You'll notice that the what are termed as the dog screws, the case screws are missing. And can you see there's a gap between the movement and the case? So this is going to be a problem. It looks like the movement ring's missing. Now I could make a movement ring, but that's a lot of work. But the bigger concern is it suggests that the movement might, and the dial may not even belong in this case. There is a chance. Although it is a signed Tissot case of the correct period, so it's more likely that it's just the movement ring that's missing there. But either way, it takes me a couple of hours to make a movement ring, so I'll probably try and avoid that one as well. Right, now I'm just going to have to work out what I've done here because here we go. Yeah, we're back to the other ones. Right, Samba Gents manual and wristwatch. No, we'll give that a miss. Timex. No, thank you. Timex tend to be pin pallet movements. They're not good for repair. Right, vintage Swiss Oris. Oris are one of these brands that have got quite a good name now, but their watches from the middle of the 20th century were quite cheaply made, and this one's only 7 jewels, which would suggest it is probably one of their cheaper movements. So, another Tissot there, but it's gold-plated case. Always harder to sell a gold-plated case than a steel watch. As you can probably tell, I'm actually looking for a Swiss-made steel vintage watch. I mean, that's where I see your money being the safest, really, in this price bracket. So I am being quite specific there. Right. Okay. So I've done the whole of that first page, and there's nothing there really. So what we'll do, we just head back up to the top of the page. What I'm going to do, I'm going to narrow my search down. So I've seen, through looking through, the only watches that have been of any interest to me in this price bracket are the Tissot watches, because I know the movement's good quality. They're not massive, they're not as popular as, say, Omega, for example, but they are good quality watch that should be a steady watch to sell at the end of it. So I'm going to actually try my luck at putting in Tissot watch for repair and see what comes up there. Just try and narrow the search down a bit. Okay, so what I've done now, I've done a search for Tissot watch, and I've got my filters for mechanical and also for under £100. So I can already see at the top here, these ones in pink are the ones I've already looked at. So neither of those are really good. So let's just keep going down. There's a stylist there, Visa Date stylist manual wind. Let's have a look at that one. Right, okay. So not sure what to make of that. That's an unusual looking watch. It must be, based on the size of it, that must be a lady's watch. This is the other problem you have with eBay, is that you can't always get the size of the watch. Because it's just a photograph and there might not be any sort of context. Let's just scroll down and have a look, see what it says in the description. Right, case width is 34mm. Okay, so it's a gent's watch, but I'm not so sure about it. Right, okay. Something doesn't feel right about those hands to me. They just look like the wrong hands. I mean, if you look at the hour hand compared to the minute hand, the hour hand is very thin and it comes to a square point, whereas the minute hand comes to an arrowed point. So I don't think that watch is right, and so we'll give that one a miss, I think. Right, what have we got here? What's next? Right, this is interesting. It's vintage Tissot C-Star men's watch, Swiss made, 35mm case, £80. Right. Oh, it's a nice clean dial. Yeah, it looks good. and the correct hands. I know this watch quite well because my dad had one of these when I was a child. In fact, it's very similar to this. His watch had the date, so it had the 2481 caliber, which is the Tissot version of Omega's 1481 caliber movement. So yeah, so I'm not quite familiar with these watches. Quite hard not to get sentimental about these things and try and buy things for that reason. Looking at this photo here, I can just got to get that one to stay there. Maybe a moment. Click, click. What I do see, which is nice, is a signed crown. It's got a Tissot crown on it. It's quite dirty on the side there. That's probably just dirt, I imagine, because it's a stainless steel. These are stainless steel case. Right. I'm quite interested by this watch. Let's go and have a look at the description and see what they say. Right, vintage Tissot C-Star men's watch, hand winding movement, 35mm case, black strap, doesn't matter, right, minor wear and case and crystal. Right, okay. Clean and tidy for its age with no standout defects. It does look good. Right. Now, it's decision time. This does look like a good watch to me. It's very original. The case, if you look at the edge of the lugs on the case, you can see they're nice and square, and that appeals to me. I mean, there's a dent in the bezel there, but you know, this watch is probably 50 years old, but maybe a little bit more than that, 53, 54 years old. So I'm not worried about that. It's manual wind, but it's nice and simple. It would make a really nice dress watch. What can I do to it to improve it? That's the other question. Well, obviously, if I get this watch and I service the watch, I can then sell it as serviced. So I've got that I can do. The case could be cleaned up. It does look a bit dirty in the photos, and put a new strap on it. Because this is £80, so I mean, I could do that and get a new strap and still, you know, within £100. Right, I've made a decision. I'm going to buy the Tissot. It's a case of being what looks like a good watch to me already, and hopefully I can sell this with a service and make a bid on it. So I've got my phone here, and I'm going to get on here now, and I'm just going to buy the watch. It's £80. You know, it's not a bad start. So hopefully hopefully it's going to be okay. So I'm just going to go on here, and what I'll do, I'll take a screenshot when I've paid for it, and you'll be able to see it up here. So it's just nice to keep record of these things, and then obviously in the next video we'll be having a look at it when the watch arrives, see what we've actually bought. Okay, well I've bought the watch. You can probably see the screenshot up there showing you what I've paid for it. It was, just check out, £81.53 with the postage. So we'll find out what we've got. I mean, it's in the UK, so hopefully I'll see it this week. So what we'll be doing for the next video, we'll be obviously unboxing and having a look at what I've bought, and then we can have a look at the watch, and we can start the process of taking it apart and deciding what we're going to do with it. So I hope that was of interest to you. This is a completely new series, so thanks to anyone new who's been watching this video. Hopefully we're going to really, you know, get on with this challenge and try and move forward and get obviously better watches as we go. What I'll be really interested in is, you know, what do you think I should be buying next? Any advice you can give me? So if you've got anything along those lines, if you do this yourself, got any advice, please put it in the comments below, because it'd be really great for other people as well. So that'd be fantastic. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Then you'll get notification for the next time we're going to, you know, put one of these videos out. This series of videos will depend in terms of timescales on when I get watches in and when I've done the work. But I'm hoping that something is going to happen every couple of weeks. So hopefully we're going to be able to update you regularly on how we're getting on, and we look forward to seeing how this watch comes out when it turns up. So thanks again, bye for now.